Alright, so first I want to start by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash. I mean, I also want to say double honors to the apostles and elders of James Drummond Stone, to you Akim that are out there, pushing this truth in sincerity, Shalom, to open leg. I see Brother Kanan out here again another Saturday, to prophesy against Babylon, so-called white man, you know what I mean? That's Babylon and the so-called white man. Also to, prophesy to our people, the elect amongst you, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans predominantly, that you are true Israelites, the sons and daughters of Yahweh and Yahushai, and that you return to your power so that he can save you from the time to come. You know what I mean? Which is going into, again, World War III, Jacob's trouble, you know what I mean? Where you're going to basically have famine, pestilence, you know what I mean? You're going to be put in a situation where you're going to have to decide if you need to take the chip or not, which you should not take the chip, which is the RFID chip, you know what I mean? But before we get into all of that, you know what I mean? There are some things that are basically taking place in the news as we speak, you know what I mean, concerning even prophecies, yo. But, if you listen to the rhetoric of the ones that are basically in charge, you know what I mean, they can say that the word of the Lord is truly coming to pass, and that basically you really should be trusting in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, you know what I mean, because how else are you going to escape what is to come? How else are you going to have any strength to fight against the ones that are against you, which is so-called white man? Alright? So we came into captivity, you know what I mean, our foreparents were captured, you know what I mean, brought on cargo slave ships to the Americas, and we've been here for some time doing hard labor, you know what I mean, having whips across our backs, suffering, having our people destroyed in all manner of ways. And even know that they so-called tell you that, you are in charge now, which is a delusion, it's a lie, basically. But our people can't see that it's a lie, you know what I mean? They trust and believe that they have some form of power and, some form of strength to stand on themselves. You know what I mean? What I said is utterly rubbish. Because now you have, a rhetoric from Donald Trump, which has always been the case with America, but it's been made clear to the ones who have eyes to see. You know what I mean? Even people that are not so basically they're still sleeping, they're seeing these things. So-called Jamaica and the Caribbean, and a lot of other countries really, but speaking to our people, you have no power nor might in your hand to fight against the enemy. Here you have Donald Trump having the Caribbean scared and afraid. They are so afraid that they won't even speak. They are afraid to even talk, yo. Like, give an example. What is taking place in Venezuela right now? Venezuela is basically under attack by USA, America, through Donald Trump, and the disguise that they're basically fighting against drugs cartels or drug trafficking. Which, if you have any understanding, you really know the so-called white man is behind gun smuggling, drug smuggling. If you want to go into child smuggling, what they call it, abduction and all these things, they are behind all these smuggling basically. But whenever they find it fit and it suits their agenda to rob and spoil other nations and to establish their judgment and power on other nations, they do so. So now they're in the Caribbean waters, bombing boats that they say is suspect of drug trafficking, meaning they don't have enough evidence per se to come to a conclusion that it is indeed smuggling drugs per se, but they suspect that this is the case, and therefore, because they want to push their agenda and to grab their resource that belongs not to them, they are on their part, bombing boats left, right, and center, taking lives. But the Caribbean is being, out here people really talk basically when they're siding with America, because they are afraid of the big bad bully. They are afraid that Donald J. Trump might sanction their country, and therefore life become harder for you. They are afraid that they might end up in a war with America. So your prime minister, your opposition leader, and the puppets in parliament, they have no might or power to stand for you in at all. They don't have it, yo. So what if America gonna mad loose part one day and say they're going to attack Jamaica and they're going to put Jamaica in a hell hole? Your prime minister cannot save you from it. They cannot help you out of it, yo. But you're going to believe that every day that is the case, showing that you're lost, yo. And you refuse to turn to the true power that actually can save and preserve you. That power is Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So I'm going to get into the first precept, right? And this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32. It says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long. And there shall be no might in thy hand, right? There shall be no power in your hand to stop this from happening. And that took place, which is why we are in captivity today, calling yourselves Jamaicans and other type of names, right? That's why what you're doing that today. Now let me continue to verse 23. It says, the fruit of thy land and all thy labours shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. That is what is happening unto you people. You're oppressed and you're crushed always, yo. You're always being oppressed, being sanctioned, being taxed. You know what I mean? And if you decide that you're trying to feed yourself, then the America regime, or the president of America and his allies, basically make it difficult for you to strive. They fly planes over your country. They attack your farms, basically making you dependent on them to seek what? Seeds to survive, to feed your people. Or if a food your plants are supposed to grow, you need fertilization fertilizer from them. So therefore, you're always under that bondage, yo. You're always under that pressure and that oppression by the so-called white man. And therefore you're bent down to worship him. You're not going to find your prime minister talking against America. You're not going to find any of them speaking up that way because they are afraid, they are cowards, yo. And rightly so, because again, they have no might. They have no military power. They have nothing to fight against these mighty countries. The Lord made you this week. The Lord made our people a weak people, because truly your power was in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But you turned away from God and start talking about self-righteousness, believe in oneself. You know, we can do this on our own. How is it that you're not able to overthrow the so-called white man and go above him, when there have been many attempts to do so? Again, because the Lord gave him power over you at this time, and not the other way around. You are below and he's above. That's because there's a curse upon you people, because you keep committing iniquity against Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You're sinning and you refuse to repent. You refuse to stop sinning. So therefore, you're at the bottom and he's at the top, again, oppressing you. Right? Let me get another precept before, you know.
So what we just come back from here get it. Yeah, I'm fast. Yeah, so what just come
Very quick. Didn't have this one prepared, but we'll find it. Let me do one right. So this is Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 33. It says, "Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore, as thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways." Yeah, you're cutting, you're changing your ways to please the so-called white man. You want to, operate like how he's operating. You want to be like him so that he accepts you. You know what I mean? And then you teach him your ways. You know what I mean? So you accept his ways, and then you try to teach him your way as well. To what? To seek love. But God is asking you, why do it, yo? Because it's not beneficial unto you. It's not going to lead into any benefit unto you eventually, yo. Alright? Let me continue. Let's read to verse 36. It says, "Why gettest thou about so much to change thy way? Thou also shalt be ashamed of Egypt, as thou was ashamed of Assyria." Alright? What's coming unto you people? Shame. For trusting in the so-called white man, trusting in your politicians, trusting in the people of the society, yo. Right? He said 37, "Yea, thou shalt go forth from him, and thine hands upon thine head. For the Lord hath rejected thy confidence, and thou shalt not prosper in them." Right, you're not going to prosper adapting to the American ways. You're not going to prosper adapting to Britain way. You're not going to prosper adapting to any of these countries way, yo. The way to prosperity is to do what? Turn back to Yahweh Hashem i.u.i.c by learning his laws, best ability, and try to keep them. Right? Having faith in Yahweh Hashem i.u.i.c is the way to prosperity. Right? This society was not designed for prosperity, for the righteous, yo. So that's why you see people that are basically so-called flourishing in your eyes. They are faggots, they are other workers, they are murderers, they are all manner of evil people. And they have it hard because guess what? The Lord put demons on them, yo. So in the night time when they got in bed, they don't get a comfortable sleep because they know that there is evil over them because of their works. They're not in comfort and peace of mind. They don't have that luxury even though they have wealth. So though they get wealth, it comes with more problems, more disasters. You know what I mean? Losing loved ones regularly. You know what I mean? Sicknesses and all these type of things come with it. Right? Because really and truly, you're not blessed to accept Babylon way, yo. Babylon way is confusion. It is the way that leads to death. But again, many of our people like that way. That's why you're dying. That's why your family members are dying. That's why even you try to hide your sorrows with drugs, alcohol, and all these things, it keeps coming back to you, yo. after you drink today, and then tomorrow, guess what? You're in misery again. Because like I said, trimming your way to seek so-called love from the enemy is not going to be prosperous to you, yo. Right? What you should be doing is turning to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Learning that you are the people of God and what blessing the Lord has prepared for you. That's what is required of you, right? And as for the people that are above you, that deceive you to believe in that they cannot actually assist you in some way, shape, or form, they have judgment coming, yo, because you people, you peasants basically today, when all hell breaks loose, guess what's going to happen? You are going to now turn to your leaders, and you're going to want to analyze them, yo. You're going to want to destroy them because you would have realized that they deceived you. They made you feel comfortable, that they could protect you, that they could bring you to some form of, happiness and prosperity. But opposite come. The opposite comes, yo. Alright? Let me go to the next precept. And this is Lamentation. Lamentation chapter 4 and verse 17, Salakia. It says, as for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. Right? You are looking out for a nation that cannot save you. Right? It says, verse 18, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled and our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. Again, that goes to the so-called white man. He's your persecutor. He's the one that basically what? Giving you false drugs, medication, let's put it that way, to sick you. You know what I mean? He's the one that is compassing around you, creating that this hostile environment, spreading guns to your communities. You know what I mean? Don't you know that in Jamaica, in the that's the 1970s, early 80s, so we're in that region, that these people basically brought guns to Jamaica. Jamaica was one of the countries that was low in murder rate. This problem that we have today called murder, you know what I mean? It wasn't like that. But then, it wasn't like this back then. Because naturally, the Lord did not make us that way, yo. But because we break the laws of the Heavenly Father, and we turn on to the so-called white man way, which is the murderer from the beginning, you know what I mean? We take the weapons, then we come to communities and start do what? Fighting against our own people. Being, bruteful and destroying to ourselves. And now we have a problem where on a yearly basis we have over 1,000 murders per year. A small little country having over 1,000 murders per year, yo. Which again goes back to the curse, really. But the so-called white man has a hand in amplifying your destruction, yo. They have a hand in making you this vile and corrupt to the people. Because a lot of the gang wars that are being fought They are funded by who? And from the so-called white man coming to your politicians. That's how they are funded, yo. The parties are basically pushing guns into the hands of regular people. And then sometimes these people turn to fight their own wars with the same guns. And they do all of this to what? Create hostility in your country so that they can keep you down and lost, looking at problems that really shouldn't have been there, that they created, yo. That's how it is. And you best believe that your leaders do these things with the belief that, hey, when they accomplish their work, that they will be preserved, they will be safe, they won't be touched. That's how they believe, yo. They believe that, yo, when them give you guns on one side and then next time give guns and start killing off yourself, you know what I mean? They can't divide and rule, you know what I mean? That the guns won't turn on them. And that if it even eventually turn on them, they have the military always to protect them. And that if it got out of hand, then you have the United Nations and all those other people that are in high power will step in to protect them. That's what they believe, yo. Not knowing that Yahweh Shem Shai is the one who is really creating this atmosphere for you to die. He is the one that is preparing this world for you to lose your life. Right? Because it did not do what? It did not sacrifice that journey for him. You know what I mean? And it says, if you find a lot, you're going to lose it, yo. You know what I mean? If you seek to save your life, basically you're going to lose it. So let me go to the next precept. This is Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 14. It says, wherefore hear the word of the Lord, you scornful men that rule this people which is in Jerusalem. Alright? And Jerusalem is really a people before a place really. That's you people. Yarashalam, city of peace. You know what I mean? You are the so-called peaceful people. But no, you're not showing that. You're not showing that you are peaceful people really to your own people. You're peaceful to the other nations when they come to Jamaica. You know what I mean? Like the so-called Chinese, the Edomites, the so-called white man. All other nations come to Jamaica and walk freely. They are not robbed. They are not attacked like how if a regular civilian stray into this community is antagonized and harmed. Alright? Because your eyes are no evil to your own people. But let me get back to the precept, right? Verse 15, that is Isaiah 28 and verse 15. Says, because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell with hell are we agreement? Are we at agreement, Salakia? When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. Yet you're hiding under the belief that so-called white man is gonna, create this new world order, and that you're gonna be a part of it. Or to move to 2012, and I realized that one time the earth was collapsing, basically. The world was collapsing and going into chaos. There were these rich men from all walks of the world that were trying to buy or to have some safe path to escape this destruction that's coming. And the mass were left to die. The masses were left to struggle and survive on their own. That is how it is set up today by the leaders, yo. That's how they believe. Alright? But again, they know that the will of Yahweh is outside. They don't understand his will. They don't know what is coming to them, yo. Because if they knew, then therefore they would have feared Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. I would have repent. I would have basically, left that side, yo. Right? Let me read the next precept. And this is Habakkuk 1 and verse 4. It says, therefore the law is slack, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceeded. Right? It said, I'll start from a so-called white man. You know what I mean? Now, as I said, look at what is taking place in the Caribbean. Right? You don't think that the so-called leaders of the society don't see what is taking place? But they're not going to speak up or talk because, again, they are afraid. So what happened? Wrong judgment, yo. Not a fear and being wicked nonetheless. You know what I mean? Wrong judgment is being pushed upon you people. Right? That's what is happening, yo. So they take on the wrong laws. Oh, we think that it is okay and it is right for our country to accept homosexuals. We think it is okay and right for our country to accept, the so-called democracy, because the leaders of the world, the so-called white man, America, is pushing that agenda. Didn't you hear that how many U.S. aid was funding much let us crew in Jamaica? They were funding all of these filthy groups, so spending millions of dollars in Jamaica. And I wonder, how is it that these fish or faggots are basically thriving in the country? How are they being so-called successful? Again, as I said, in order for you to thrive in society, you have to be abomination, for you to get some form of recognition. We think of fund them to that point. Right? So they are revealing these things to you people, but you're not looking into it. You're not waking up to it, yo. So wrong judgment proceeded, and righteousness become the order of the day, which is really chaos, yo. Because if you're not on a righteous path, basically you're in a path of destruction, confusion, and chaos. Right? So we get to the next precept. So this is Micah. This is Micah 2 and verse 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. Like I said, who give them this power, yo? Who gives them this power? Right? It all starts from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to the so-called white man, and then your leaders in the society are in these roles because the white man gave them power to be there. Alright? But really talking about the so-called white man, you know what I mean? As we go down in verse 2, it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Right? That's what is happening in Venezuela. That's what's happening across the world. In Africa, in the Middle East, you know what I mean? In the Caribbean. Because now there are many nations in the Caribbean that are basically getting what? Their hands on resources, yo. You hear say, yo, Guyana find oil. You hear say Trinidad have oil. There was a Suriname find oil as well. And then here's a Jamaica's on the part of what? Finding oil as well. So there are resources in the Caribbean that these mighty nations want their hands on, whether by force or by an agreement. So what they do, they create the chaos in the country, right? They put one side to lean towards them. So if they take something power, then they're going to make deals with them that are beneficial unto them, meaning cheaper resources to them. Which shows you again that this war goes into what? Trading, like Trinidad basically come out and said that they were going to allow America pathway into the Caribbean to basically, unleash attack upon Venezuela. And immediately Venezuela said what? This is an act of war against them. So now Venezuela is looking at Trinidad as an enemy. Because of who the so-called white man, yo. They are seeing Venezuela as an enemy because so-called white man is aligned to them. They're working together. The same for Guyana, because Venezuela was trying to what? Attack Guyana to get what? That resources over there. And because they are so weak again, they accept the so-called white man knowing that they're not going to come there really for their benefit. You know what I mean? So they come with fields, they make this environment the way it is, so they can come out and steal your resources. And then eventually do what? Oppress you with it. In the Middle East, you have a lot of wars right now in different areas in the Middle East. And it all ties back to resources. Africa, same thing. Right? The same thing. Because the white man is a greedy thief. Right? Let me get it again in Habakkuk, right? This is Habakkuk chapter 2, and I'm going to go to let's start from verse 4. Alright? It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man,